Mr.
Yep.
Morset?
David, you're on mute. Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. Adequate notice is this regular public meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a notice on the bulletin board in the municipal building, by publishing in the Express Times and the Star Ledger, the official newspaper of the town of Phillipsburg, by posting the notice on the website of the town of Phillipsburg, filing said notice with the town clerk of Phillipsburg, as well as furnishing said notice to those persons requesting it pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act as advertised action at this meeting. The board policy is policy of the town of Phillipsburg Land Use Board not to hear any new cases after 10 p.m. and no new witnesses after 10:30 p.m. Mr. Mayor, the flag.
Pledge allegiance
to the
flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States of America,
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic for which stands
and
one nation under God,
indivisible,
and
justice
for
liberty for all.
Thank you. Kelly, could you call the roll call?
Mr. Benjavanga?
Here.
Mr. Brotsman?
Here.
Mr. Duffy?
Here.
Mr. Fulper?
Here.
Mr. Hannasat?
Here.
Mr. Penrose?
here.
Mayor Trussigny?
Here.
Mr. Turnbull?
Here.
Mr. Swicker?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Rooney?
Here.
Okay, we have everybody?
Yes, everybody's here.
Okay. There are no resolutions. We're going to go first to a public hearing on Perone Construction, LLC, 170 Howard Street, B1 2102, lots 2 and 1. Mr. Wilhelm, I don't see you anywhere.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We have some update on this?
I do. Is Mr. Peck on?
I am.
Okay. So Mr. Peck and I had some preliminary discussions on this previously, and I believe there's going to be a request by the applicant right now.
That is correct. Thank you, Mr. Wilhelm. On behalf of the applicant Perone Construction, my name is Mark Peck. I'm an attorney with the Florio Perucci Law Firm. We are requesting that the public hearing scheduled for this evening be carried to sometime, preferably early January, the first 2 weeks. So I'm hopeful the board will accommodate this request.
Okay. You're looking for early January, so the 6th or the 13th?
The 6th was proffered, and I did check with my side, and that date does work for us. So if it works for the board, that'd be fantastic.
Does anyone on the board have a problem with a meeting on January 6th? Is anybody going to be on vacation?
No.
No? We can all make January 6th?
So, Mr. Chairman, January 6th will be a regularly scheduled meeting of the Land Use Board in 2022. That notice will be published in December as required by law. I spoke with Ms. Leffler about that. So if Mr. Duffy, if you're okay with that, I'm just publicly announcing right now that the Perone application will be carried without any requirement at the present time for any further notice to January 6, 2022. At what time, Mr. Duffy? Are we looking to our typical time of 7?
We keep it at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so that's it. The Perone public hearing on the Perone application will be January 6, 2022 at 7 p.m.
And for the board members, we would need to reorganize first thing at that meeting, since that's our first meeting in January.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Wilhelm. Have a nice Thanksgiving, everybody.
All right, you too.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Mr.
Mr.
Peck.
Peck.
Thanks, bye-bye.
okay.
This is not fair to the public.
It's not.
Okay. Now we'll go to completeness, 120 Carpenterville Road, block 2906, lot 3. Mr. Edelson?
Members of the board, this is a matter that has been carried from last month. And what we're requesting this evening is contrary to last meeting where it was indicated that the board did not have jurisdiction.
Bill, I think you're on the wrong application.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, Stan.
The
This
other
is-
Bill's here.
Yeah, this is Mr. Mandry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh,
My-
two
Hello,
Bills.
Chairman Duffy. How are you doing?
I'm good. You?
Oh, good, thank you.
Mr. Manager? Okay, this is for 120 Carpenterville Road.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. You and, okay.
Yeah, I've discussed the matter with Mr. Schreck, and we're here just for a completeness review this evening. First of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone on the board, and it's nice to see everyone, and I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving before we even get started.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Thank
And I
you,
missed
Bill.
you all. I actually missed this very much. I enjoyed my time as the attorney.
Okay. So as far as completeness is concerned, Kelly, do we have everything as far as
Yes.
the,
It's Chairman, just for record,
Yes.
this is an application for waiver of site plan. And the applicant did fill out the proper form, submitted documents that we were able to review, and we have enough to be able to proceed once we schedule the public hearing.
okay? And Kelly, we get the taxes are paid and these notices were given.
Well, that's an issue that Mr. Schreck and I had a discussion about as to, whether or not the board can confer jurisdiction without having publication and written notice to neighbors.
We didn't need notice for completeness, but for the actual hearing, I think we should have a discussion with Scott also.
Okay.
If we need a notice for waiver of site plan.
All right.
Yeah, so I would suggest that this be put
Vision.
on for the December 16th regularly scheduled meeting. My interpretation of the law is that a notice is required, but I'm certainly willing to discuss that offline with Mr. Mandry further.
Okay,
That's great.
so Stan, you have everything you need?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do I hear a motion for completeness?
I make a motion for completeness.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
That was Keith made the motion. Who made the second?
Mayor,
there.
The mayor. Thank you. Okay. Is there any discussion from the board? Okay. Voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any against? Okay. The ayes have it.
Chairman, there's a hands up. I don't know if Julia wants to comment on this application. Hi, Julia.
Okay.
Nice to see you. No, I'm keeping my hand up to make sure I can talk in public comment.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so that'll be on for December 16.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
You too, Bill.
happy Thanksgiving,
Nice
Bill.
seeing you. Nice seeing you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Under old business, we have Heptum site plan exemption application, review site plan waiver, interior only.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As I indicated previously, this matter's been before the board on several previous meetings. And at last month's meeting, it was indicated that our request.
Do you want to go at night?
Excuse me, that our request for the board to give its approval for the construction.
Dad ate an entire half chicken.
Excuse me,
He even
somebody's
picked up the
not
bone
on
and
mute.
started
Could
eating off
you
the
put
bone.
yourselves on mute, please?
Wow. It's like, it's not good, huh?
Okay,
Ready to proceed? Ready to proceed, Mr. Chairman?
yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes, I was indicating that we've been before the board on several previous occasions, and at last month's meeting, it was indicated that the board did not have jurisdiction regarding our request to have the construction official, Mr. Daniels, issue permits for the interior renovations of the building that exists now, which we will call phase one of the project. Therefore, it was suggested to me that I file an application for exemption from site plan approval for phase one, as again, it indicates that there is nothing other than interior renovations that are proposed. And therefore, I am making that request this evening that the board go on record indicating that we do have site plan exemption for phase one, so that we may at least proceed with those renovations and move forward. Phase two, which is the main portion of the application, which is before this board for review, is not ready yet for the board's determination this evening, as there are other matters that need to be discussed with our professionals and decided. And therefore, I'm requesting, number one, that the board grant us site plan exemption for phase one, and that phase two be carried till your December meeting without further notice.
So, Mr. Duffy, I would concur that at this time, the board has jurisdiction to consider the site plan exemption request under section 510-3A of the town's site plan ordinances. Given the size of the building, the applicant did in fact need to make an application, and under 510-9C, the board does have the power to grant a waiver. And so the only question for the board right now is, are you satisfied based upon what you've read in the application for exemption that you have sufficient information to make a decision, or do you need to hear some testimony from somebody on behalf of the applicant?
Okay.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, no, so I was just going to say, I don't know. It's again, this is a board decision, but if you look at the application, it seems pretty straightforward that they are just looking to do interior renovations, which should have no effect on the exterior appearances or conditions or anything. However, again, the board has to decide if they're satisfied on the papers or they would like to hear some more. Bill, do you have anybody here today?
I think Jim Joy might have logged in this evening, so he could testify if need be. But again, I thought that with what we provided previously, it was pretty clear what is proposed with this phase one aspect of the application.
And do you have any comments towards this?
Yeah, the board will recall when we started going through the EPTIM application at the last meeting, there was a request to let them renovate what they called phase one, the interior work, ahead of completing the site plan. I believe the board was in favor, didn't have any negative comments in that regard. We just couldn't because we didn't have the jurisdiction to allow that based on the square footage of the building. The application that I believe Mr. Edelston filled out, I seem to recognize his handwriting after all these years, but it's a very brief application, and it does mention it's a current building, it's an existing building. He's proposing additional office space, restroom, and a clean room area. All that would be reviewed by the construction official and building permit be issued. But as far as site plan, there's nothing that would impact this that will not be discussed later when he comes in and brings in his full site plan. So my recommendation would be that the board grant this waiver.
Okay, does anybody on the board have a question? Is anybody looking for any additional testimony? Do I hear a motion on this waiver?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
That's Mr. Brotzman and Mr. Penrose.
Yeah, that's correct.
Any discussion from the board on this?
So then the motion, if I could help articulate, the motion would be to grant the applicant site plan waiver under 510-9C to allow for the interior renovations as summarized in the application and as discussed at last meeting and today's meeting.
Okay. Mr. Wilhelm, do I need public comment on this?
No, you do not need public comment on it.
Okay. I'm going to go for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, then it passes on a voice vote. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Mr.
then,
Hudson.
so the rest of the application, which the applicant is calling phase 2 for formal site plan approval, we will carry at this time to the December 16 meeting without the applicant having to give any further notice. So if anybody's here in regard to this application, this will be considered again on December 16 at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Okay.
you, Bill.
Thank you, board. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks very much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Oh, Bill.
Thanksgiving, Bill.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, under new business, we have a resolution from town council for the board to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine whether the proposed study area block 1803 lot 1, which is 150 Fleming Drive, formerly known as Anderson Drive, qualifies as an area in need of non-commodation redevelopment. This is something we call on Angela Knowles for.
So very briefly for the board, this has been sent to us by the council. Under the municipal land use law, we are required to respond to the council. And typically in the past, we've asked our planner, Ms. Knowles, to undertake that study. So what you would be doing today is undertaking, directing her to do that. And then presumably at the next meeting, it would be up for discussion and a response to the town council. Angela?
That pretty much says it all. Yeah, it's the first step in the process, the redevelopment process. So this is the investigation, which would make the determination for redevelopment. The board would then make their recommendation to council. And then if council accepts it, then a redevelopment plan would be prepared. So yes, as Mr. Wilhelm said, tonight you would be, I guess, authorizing me to do that first step in the investigation.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
Isn't it the site that was, we approved for 55 and over, the development, correct?
Years
There
ago.
was, yeah, there was an approval back in 2004, 2005. That's the same site.
It's next to the First Down Youth Center.
Yeah, this is this is an exercise to determine if there is a actual need for redevelopment. It's really not site plan related at this time until a developer comes in and actually applies. This exercise goes through what's described, the parameters laid out in the local public housing law that Angela's going to review. If it meets certain criteria, then there'll be a recommendation either up or down for clearing the area in need, and then it goes back to, some of them right in the process here, but then it goes back to council to approve a redevelopment plan, be authorized, and back us again. So it's a long way down the road, but this is just the first step, whether there is actual need in that area for redevelopment.
So for purposes tonight, the board's discussion should simply focus on whether you're authorizing Ms. Knowles to proceed. Well, there should be no discussion about the substance of it. That's for the next meeting.
Next steps. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Do I hear a motion on direction of Ms. Knowles?
Make a motion.
Motion to have Angela
Second.
make the service.
You're making the motion that we direct Angela to
Angela to-
do the redevelopment study.
Yes.
And who seconded that?
I'll second it.
Sorry, I missed that one. Who was that?
Mr. Hanasak.
Mr. Hanasak, okay. Okay, any further questions or discussions on it?
Can the public say anything?
No, this is not a public
not this one.
hearing.
No. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions?
One abstention.
And who was that?
Fulper.
Okay,
Mr. Folk.
Thank you.
okay. Minutes from October 28th to 2021. Any discussion concerning the minutes? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
That was
I'll
the mayor.
second it.
Mr. Penrose? Okay, any discussion then? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? I abstain. I was not here. Okay,
Who was that abstained?
Phil Duffy.
Bill- Okay.
I was busy that night. Okay,
I was writing.
that's okay. Are you ready, Kelly?
I am.
Okay. We're now going to ask for public comment. If you are called upon, please state your name and your address. Thank you.
Okay. First, we have Julia Summers.
Thank you very much. This is Julia Summers. I'm Executive Director of the New Jersey Highlands Coalition. The address is in Booton. I just wanted to make an observation, for I'm heartened that there are so many people still here, many of whom probably came because of the Perone proposal. And if you are not used to attending planning board meetings, it has been my experience, my very long experience, that when there is a contentious application, applicants quite often delay things to try and drag this out so that the public loses interest or stamina. Please come to the January 6th meeting. I'm sure that the local people will reach out to remind people of that meeting, but it is important that the public remain very engaged throughout the entirety of this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly.
I have Robin. I
Robin,
think
you're
it
on
would be
mute.
Robin Coe.
Can't hear you, Robin. Can you unmute yourself, Robin?
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Robin Coe Donaldson, 344 South Main Street. I own a commercial property down there. I'm coming back again with the my same concerns about this property being used for a warehouse. There's an article in the Times that came out today about an additional 702 vehicles that'll be on South Main Street. 252 of them will be trucks. I think the number was 72 would be going through during rush hour traffic in the morning, and 77 trucks are looking to go through in the evening. Anyone that's on this meeting that has been downtown during an event, or even just trying to, be part of something down there and have been on a sidewalk or been at a building with the door open, can tell you the noise level is unimaginable. This is not a good thing for Phillipsburg. There's no way anyone's going to convince me that trucks are going out and going to the right and going out to 22. It's not going to happen. They're going to come in the back. They're going to try to go down Mercer Street. Even with Ingersoll Rand, and I am not anti business by far. I think that the Ingersoll Rand project is an awesome project. I think what's up there belongs up there. However, there's no direction on the highway, and those trucks are coming down on South Main Street every single day. You need to keep in mind, this is a residential neighborhood. This is not where it was brought up last week or last month, that this is similar to Bethlehem. I did look up that site just so I could be right in what I have to say, but that's a 1,900 acre industrial site that he built that in. There is no residential whatsoever in that area. The residential is across the huge main road that they put tens of millions of dollars to widen. It's on the old Bethlehem Steel site. So it's all commercial. There's nothing residential there. So there's no comparison. It's 2.5 miles from their old downtown, 1.5 miles to Arts Quest, and a direct access to get out to 78. That is not Phillipsburg. Phillipsburg is at the back of a neighborhood. This will destroy our roads. This will destroy our neighborhoods. That is a neighborhood of low-income people, mostly of color. And it just seems like these things get put in places where people won't speak up. And it is mostly renters back that way. I do know some people that live back there, and they're not happy about it. So, I just want to say that I am not for this as a business person, as a property owner. I just think that something else belongs there, and it certainly is not this property, not this building. If other places in town are looking to build residential, why isn't this being developed as residential? I don't even know that they ever tried to put residential back there, in all honesty. So I am very emotional about this because I think it is such a terrible idea. Everything in town, all the brochures and stuff in town all say what a walkable, quaint, historic downtown. This is going to create a ton of shaking on our buildings that we already have with the amount of truck traffic that we already have. We just have entirely too much traffic as there is right now down there, and the quality of life will go down as you bring more trucks in. It is just not something that should be in the downtown. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, got it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. David Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. And I agree with the previous speakers about the warehouse. On a different topic, 150 Fleming Street. I see a number of problems with the project. First of all, that area back there is single-family homes. And an 80-unit apartment complex would not fit with the existing area. First Town and the surrounding neighborhoods would suffer if an 80-unit apartment complex was put back there. It would conflict with the area, and I believe even hurt the value of the homes. unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to speak before the resolution was passed authorizing the study for redevelopment. One of the issues with when an area is declared in need of redevelopment, that opens the door for pilots. And a pilot would be ridiculous. We would receive no real increase in ratable from a pilot. And in the event that a decision is made to make this an area of redevelopment, I hope that you eliminate the pilot. I'd love to see this resolution amended and passed back to council. You already have a stipulation that this is a non-condemnation resolution. I'd like to see you add in there and no pilot too. Or better yet, don't put an 80-unit apartment complex in there. There's other great things that area could be used for. It could be single-family homes. It could be an extension of recreation area of Walters Park. The Firth Youth Center could make great use of more recreation. So that's all I have to say, but I really hope the apartment complex does not come about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marset. Kelly?
There's someone that just says iPhone.
Kelly, would that be me?
That'd be
Yes,
you.
it would be.
It'd be James's iPhone?
No, it just says iPhone, but you please
It
give us
says
your name and
iPhone.
address.
My name is James Flynn. I live on 414 First Street, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Good evening, everyone. I'm just reiterating the concerns of everyone in the Firth Town area of Phillipsburg, New Jersey. In case you haven't seen it yet, I am in a process. Everyone in the Warren, Firth, Wilson, and Railroad Avenues are totally, there was without doubt, I've passed petitions out which are on their way to you, the town fathers, and you people who represent us in town. That is so ludicrous, and I can't even believe you're entertaining Ms. Knowles to even investigate the condemnment and these carpetbag out of town developers, what they want to do with this town. It's up to you people to redevelop and get this straightened stuff out in town and make this town better. Are my 2 minutes up yet? You want me to continue?
You need another 3.5 minutes, Jimmy.
Keith. Oh, I have another 3 minutes.
5
Thank you,
minutes
Keith.
everybody has.
Thank you, Keith. Keith, you were on the land use board, I believe, when this was attempted before by an out-of-town person from Basking Ridge, I believe. And they come in when it was supposed to be 55 and older originally. And things were going smooth, but in midterm, he turned around and wanted to make it low income housing. At that point, yes, there was a vote, and it narrowly, they lost out. And I think the term workforce housing is what this Reagan development's using. And I think it's just another word for, I don't want to say it, and the town does support enough of workforce housing already. I think the whole town is a workforce in its own. So, I mean, I polled my whole neighborhood, everybody in the area, and what Mr. Reagan is proposing in there. I think I can't even believe we're doing a study to investigate what he's telling our town to do. It's our town. We're going to do a study on what he wants to do, which will eventually probably turn into a pilot program and what have you. I mean, come on, let's I assume we're all working for Phillipsburg here. I assume. But I guess that's all I have to say. It's in your hands now, but I can't even imagine why we're doing a study on what we're doing for a carpet bagging developer coming into town telling us what to do. Come on. Let's all grow up and work for Phillipsburg.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Mr. Duffy, I just want to make a statement just for the benefit of the public. The municipal land use law, the New Jersey Local Redevelopment and Housing Law, NJS 40A:12A-7E, requires the board to do something when it receives a referral from the council. We've received a referral from the council as the board. The board cannot refuse to accept that referral. And what has to happen is, quote, prior to the adoption of a redevelopment plan, the planning board shall transmit to the governing body within 45 days after referral a report containing its recommendation concerning the redevelopment plan. So we're required to make a recommendation, whether it's up or down. And so that's why Ms. Knowles has been directed to do that, just so it's clear that we have to act one way or the other. Thank you, Mr. Duffy.
Thank you.
And thank you, Scott, for that clarification.
Okay. Kelly?
We have Valerie's iPad.
Hello, my name is Valerie Patty. I live at 420 Wilson Street in Phillipsburg. And regarding what you were just talking about, the Nitronics Orbital redevelopment, I just want the board to be aware that this is a flash flood area. And by redeveloping this and repaving the grass and taking away the trees, it's going to exacerbate the situation that we are already experiencing. During heavy downpours, Fleming Drive, Wilson Street, Railroad Avenue, they all go underwater. If you go down Warren Street towards Center, that also goes underwater. So please keep this in mind when you're considering what type of usage you're going to make of this property, because it is very detrimental to the people in this area. The storm sewers cannot handle the water now. And if this situation is going to be moved forward, I would recommend that part of this redevelopment is sidewalks all the way down Fleming Drive that don't already have sidewalks, all the way around to Railroad Avenue, with new storm sewers at the other end of Railroad Avenue, because that water all backs up into one sewer at the bottom of the hill where Wilson and Fleming Drive intersect. And you also obviously have the same problem with Warren and Center Street. So please keep this in mind when you're deciding what to do with this property. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
James Belsky.
Hi, good evening. This is Jim Belsky, Deer Haven Terrace, Stortsville. I just have one quick question for the committee. And in particular, I'm just curious to see if there was any, and this is in regards to the warehouse development, if there were any current traffic safety impact assessments being done with the warehouses that have currently been built and the traffic that's currently going through the community now. Is that being monitored? Is it being looked at before any additional warehouses are being approved?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that's anything that we be answering tonight.
No, it's not. No. Um, Anything else, sir?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly?
I have Elizabeth Ridley.
Hi, my first question is about the,
I'm sorry, could you give your name and your address?
oh,
please?
sorry. Elizabeth Ridley, 198 Summit Avenue, Phillipsburg. The first thing is a question, the McMahon study. When, and if and when will be available to the public in regard to the Perone development?
The what study?
The traffic study, the
Oh.
McMahon traffic study that was referred to today in the paper.
She's referring to the traffic impact study,
Yes.
Chairman, that's available at the municipal building.
You
It
can
is
call me
in-
anytime.
It's part of the application.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, and I have a question too. In regard to the police station on South Main, I can't see how the truck traffic won't negatively impact response time for our officers as they're trying to respond to what can many times be life and death situations and anything else, you know, in regard to public safety or their other duties with trucks crossing the street or going down South Main. And I'm not sure what consideration has been given to that, and that was taken into consideration with the McMahon traffic study. So. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
I have Aaron Coleman.
Good evening, everyone. I reside at 3 Fairview Heights. My and my business is located at 210 Prospect Avenue. I own a residential and commercial cleaning company in Phillipsburg. I just want to give you some information in regard to the warehouse. I clean the warehouses at Ingersoll, and I want to let everyone know that you are being sold on a packaged goods, that this is going to bring jobs, jobs, jobs. That's the narrative being pushed. That is simply just not true. It's not going to bring the amount of jobs that they're saying. The reason being is because they have highs and lows of employment. They use staffing agencies. So it's a revolving door of short-term employment. There is not long-term employment going on at these warehouses. And, you know, that's pretty much it. I still disagree with the warehouse. And I think that it's just going to add more trucks to the downtown, which is completely wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
Let's see. Fred Stein.
Thank you very much. My name is Fred Stein. I work with the Delaware Riverkeeper Network, and our office is in Bristol, Pennsylvania. And I was just wanted to mention again about the warehousing, and that would be a total mistake at that location on Howard Street in Phillipsburg. For the issues that were discussed, the traffic and the impact on the residents that live very close to that community, to that area, but also the air quality, the amount of truck traffic that's coming in, both trucks and passenger cars, just all that additional traffic contributing to the air quality issues that are already reportedly bad in the Lehigh Valley, coming from Easton across from and into New Jersey. The predominant wind pattern is from west to east. The other thing that I wanted to mention too, as far as jobs goes, and I know it's very small right now, a very small part of the economic mix as far as jobs and tax ratables, but the river can provide and has the opportunity to provide a tremendous amount of active, high quality recreation, as you know very well, just from across the river on the canal path. But there's opportunity there, and you have the option to build and expand on that great river access that we've used many times, going down all the way down through the lower Delaware wild and scenic reach of the river. There, it's really an untapped resource that could bring a lot of attention to Phillipsburg and bring in people from out of town to come in and drink at your pubs and have coffee in your downtown cafes and then have a paddling trip. It's an untapped resource, in my opinion. So that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. I appreciate this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly.
I have Mike King.
Hello, good evening. I want to reiterate what
Mr.
Fred
King,
Stein
could
just
you-
said.
Mr. King,
Jim?
could you give us your name and address, please?
What's that?
Could you give us your name and address, please?
Because, could you repeat that, Bill, one more
Mike.
time?
Could you give
Yes.
us your name and address?
I'm sorry. It's Mike King, 12 Front Street.
Thank you.
And I believe that Fred is correct and that the proper usage in Howard Street should comply with the master plan, which Phillipsburg is accentuating as a tourist destination. But I would also like to say, despite Mr. Wilhelm's saying that we don't need a public comment about designating Fleming Road for redevelopment, I'd like to know that Ms. Knowles is listening still. I mean, I think we should, I'm not sure why we would need to have a redevelopment. I'm not sure what the result would be. Mr. Wilhelm says that the study must be conducted, and I'd like to hear more about that. Thank you.
I think Mr. Wilhelm gave the reasons that it has to be studied and the reasons that it has to be heard. Thank you. Kelly?
Everybody that had their hand up has spoken once, so that's it.
Okay. I'm going to close public comment at this time. Okay. Does anybody on the board have anything for the good of the board? Anybody have anything? Okay. I believe, unless Mr. Wilhelm tells me I'm wrong, that brings us to a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
That is correct. Just a reminder that our next meeting is December 16, which is the third Thursday.
Okay. Did I get a second for the mayor's motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Penrose. Any discussion about the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you all.
Thanksgiving,
Have a
everybody.
great Thanksgiving.